Welcome to Hometown Happenings. I'm Carol McCarthy here today with Jay Norby, and we are going to talk about trains.
Yes, we are.
There's a train show coming.
This weekend at the Washington Square Mall, Saturday and Sunday. Saturday is 9:30 to 5:30, Sunday 12 to 5.
All right, so that's April 27th to 28th.
Yep.
You're involved with an area group that of train collectors. Well, not real train collectors, but model train.
Model train collectors.
Okay.
We are it's called the Red River Modular Group. We are a group, right now we have 10 members, and we do model railroading. And part of our deal is we have a portable layout that spends most of its life in a trailer. However, we like to haul it out for shows, and like last weekend in the Detroit Lakes Mall, we set it up, we run trains, we talk, we're kind of ambassadors for the hobby, and we talk about the different sizes, the different scales, and all the things that you can do when model railroading.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk about how long have you been into model railroading?
I've been doing it for almost 50 years now.
Okay.
I would say that I did take a break from about the age of 16 to 20 when I found that there were girls. And so that kind of took away from my time for model railroading along with sports and school. And then after that, when I settled down a little bit more, I got back into it. And I guess I've been doing it ever since.
All right. So how many pieces do you have? Is that how you kind of keep track of them, or how do you keep track?
Well, I mean, at one point I probably had 250 cars and another 30, 40 engines. Now I probably have closer to 150 cars and maybe 20, 30 engines. It seems the older you get, the more you kind of narrow your focus. I used to, if it looked good and I liked it, I bought it. Now I am a little more selective in the fact that I model in the Soo Line, Canadian Pacific style. So most of my stuff is Soo Line, Canadian Pacific stuff. However, because the line runs through here, I also have a collection of Northern Pacific stuff. Okay.
All right. So do you kind of trade with other collectors then, and is that how that works? Or?
We trade, but we also look for the new stuff coming out. The hobby has evolved tremendously in the last 10, 15 years, going from just a basic plastic kit with everything being molded onto the car to now with kits where the handrails and all the grab irons and stuff like that are separate pieces.
Okay.
So, when you're looking at it, you're going, oh, gee, I bought that 25 years ago. I'm going to put that on a flea market, or I'm going to sell it at a swap meet, and then I'm going to buy something a little bit newer. So, we trade off. We look for newer items. We sell our older items. And it's just a great way because new people coming in the hobby don't necessarily want to spend $20 to $30 per car. They can get used cars for anywhere from $5 to $10. So it's a win-win for both people.
All right. So I see you do have a few cars here today, and we'll talk a little bit about that. You also have some books that we'll get to as well. I'm here with Jay Norby, and he is a train collector, model train. He's with the Red River Modular Railroad Group. And are there many groups around the country like this? I mean, do you all meet up at a big convention, a nationwide convention?
Well, the conventions are more like the Northern Pacific Historical Rail Society, the Soo Line Historical Rail Society, the Great Northern Historical Rail Society. I can go on and on and on. The MP convention is going to be in Fargo, I do believe, in 2 years. Okay. And so, they'll be planning for that. The Soo Line convention was last year, was in Thief River Falls, Minnesota. So we travel to those things. We get the chance to, if you're a Soo Line modeler, that's the one you probably go to. If you're an MP modeler, you'll go to the one in Fargo coming up. And they have them every year. They're just located in different locations along where the old MP line was.
Okay. So I know that you do collect the model trains, but have you ever ridden on a train?
Many times.
Okay.
I had a grandmother who was a school teacher in Bismarck, North Dakota, but didn't own a car.
Oh, okay.
So every summer, my brother and I would take turns, and we'd go out and spend a week with her. Well, rather than having Mom or Dad drive us out to Bismarck, drop us off, and then a week later come pick us up, we simply went up to the depot here in Detroit Lakes, got on the Northern Pacific Main Street passenger train, took that out to Bismarck, got off the train, Grandma would pick us up, a week later, put us back on the train, come back to here, and my only regret is that the train ride from Detroit Lakes to Bismarck was, I can't remember exactly, but 3.5, 4 hours. Oh, yeah. Way not long enough. Also, I have ridden on Amtrak. In fact, when my wife and I got married, our honeymoon, we took the Amtrak from Detroit Lakes out to Washington, spent a week out there, and then took the train back.
Very nice. That's a nice ride.
That's a beautiful ride.
All right, I'm here with Jay Norby. Today we're talking trains. We're going to take a break and be back with more after this. Welcome back to Hometown Happenings. I'm here today with Jay Norby. We're talking about trains and model trains. And Jay, now talk about some of these different pieces that you have. There's different scales of trains, I understand.
Yes. I brought 3 along because these are probably the 3 most popular ones you'll find out there today. This one is called N scale. If you're getting a little bit older like I am, it's probably not the ideal one to work with because it's really hard to see and work with. HO, which is actually 1/87 scale. That is probably the most popular, well, it is the most popular scale to work with. It can be put on a 4x8 sheet of plywood and still have something nice. This is O scale, and this just happens to be a Lionel train, which is probably an O scale, was the standard for model trains in the 50s and 60s.
Okay.
And still very prevalent today. And then there's also what is called a S scale, which is halfway between these two, and a Z scale, which is half the size of these.
Oh.
Yeah, you can put that in a briefcase and take that wherever you want to.
Okay.
There's also what they call garden railroading. Those engines are probably about yay high. That's definitely an outdoor. And there's a G scale, which is about the same size, a little bit bigger. And so anyway, you've got a myriad of different sizes you can play with. It all depends on the size and the area you got that you want to model in.
Right. So do you put on the little railings? I see there's a lot of detail on this engine, it looks like. And do you actually paint these, or do they come as is, or how does that work?
Good question. This one we painted.
Okay.
We put the decals on, it says BNSF on there. Added the 2 air conditioning units on top, changed where the horn is, added some details on the front. But they do come painted like that. This is one that's basically right out of the box with a little bit of weathering that I've added to it. But still, you can buy it, just purchase it just like that, same with this one. This one back here, I don't know if you can see it very well, but it's a steam locomotive, Canadian Pacific. That's straight out of the box. That happens to go with my Canadian Pacific passenger train that I also have.
Okay. All right. We're here today talking about trains with Jay Norby, who is a collector of model trains. And now these books, tell us a little bit about these books that you have. Some cool pictures.
I just brought some books along, and they happen to be either the Burlington Northern Pacific era. When I first started out, I like to kind of research what I do. And so I also have a Northern Pacific passenger train, so I started out with this book right here, which is basically telling you all about the North Coast Limited, which was the passenger train that came through the Detroit Lakes. And as years go by, I pick up books. This one's kind of interesting because if you get into this page right here, and I don't know if you can see that very well, but these are pictures of the Detroit Lakes Depot.
Sure, in the
back in the 1970.
Okay.
So, I mean, you go through, you find things you like, you just kind of research. I do a lot of research now because as I get older, I want to be a little more specific about what I do. When you first start out, I just tell people, get involved. Get a track up, and then worry about everything else, and just let it come as you get time and money to do it in.
Are there many young collectors these days coming up?
Right now, younger kids are not getting as involved as they used to. And, you know, I think that's been documented many times. However, there's a resurgence coming now where people from like 25 to 30 on up are getting back into the hobby. They grew up, or at some point in time during Christmas, they had a train around their tree.
Yes.
They really enjoyed it, but that train usually came out 2 days before Christmas. They ran it until New Year's, got packed up, and nobody saw it again until the following year. Now they're remembering that, and they're saying, I own a home, I have a spare bedroom, or I have a small room that it's available. I want to recreate that. And so now they're going back and they're taking the time to put a layout in there, do the detail. I mean, you can buy buildings, trees, roads. You can do everything you want to. You can make it look as real as you want. And some guys get so enamored into it, they're actually rivet counters. They'll be right down to the bolts that were on that car that was built in 1955.
That's very cool. A very interesting hobby you have, Jay Norby, and we have to wrap things up. We're given the signal by Rena. I want to thank you for coming on today.
Well, thank you.
We'll have to have you on again. And for Hometown Happenings, I'm Carol McCarthy.